funny that being in the business that I am, I'm not a big believer in eighth place trophies because we don't teach kids how to lose. We don't teach them to embrace failure. Why did I fail? Why did it not work? We've reiterated our website 3 times since the original guy that did it. And it's kind of a funny story. The gentleman that did it originally, his daughter works for me now as my girl Friday, I call her, and I mean that with all the compliments that come along with that, not a derogatory way. She does my social media stuff. We switched over to a Shopify e-commerce site. That was a huge win. We were struggling with where we were before the site that we were on because we didn't technically own it. And we spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort to make that it looked beautiful, and it worked for the promotional product side of our business, but not for our main business. And so that today is a big win for me.
Hi, it's Mitch Tarr, CEO and founder of Zen Marketing Inc. Today we're going to be talking to Eric Beauchamp of NaplesAwards.com. And we had a really interesting conversation, far and wide as always, but when we focused in and talked about marketing, we talked a lot about customer retention and relationships and how you stand out in an industry which is really, really competitive. And at the same time, while you make the transition from more of a traditional storefront environment to also include reach of online digital marketing. Great conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, Eric. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mitch. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. Let's just jump right in. Why don't you set the background and tell us a bit about your business, Naples Awards, and we'll go from there.
All right. Love to. So Naples Awards has been around since 1984, and I've owned it for the last 9 years. It was a little one-man operation and a little 900 square feet shop when I took it over, and I bought some new equipment, upgraded things, brought it into the new century, so to speak. And since then, we've moved twice to get more space because the business has grown so much. Um, it's actually a lot of fun. It's something that we get to meet new people every day, and the ones in our business, I call them legacy customers that have been around. If I did a plaque for you today, for example, that had perpetual plates on it, chances are you're going to go back to that same shop that did those year after year after year. So you kind of get to develop a relationship with these customers over time. And so it's been exciting, and it's challenging every year to keep up with the trends and the ever changing world of retail I feel in today's market.
Yeah. So you took a small store and made it a big store. Who are your primary customer segments? Who do you service primarily?
That is really hard to say because we do a fair amount of corporate. We have half a dozen national accounts that we service in our particular market. If you're familiar with Naples, Florida at all, there's a golf course on every corner, and so we do a lot of golf courses. We do a lot of government schools. Um, uh, it's actually exciting because you never it might be a fishing tournament today, a golf tournament tomorrow, or something for the sheriff's department or the fire department or a school. We created a bunch of medals for a a track tournament that hadn't been done for 15 years. They decided to bring it back, so we created a medal from scratch. So it's you can't really narrow it down to just one thing, which makes it exciting because you're not You're not doing the same thing over and over and over every day.
Yeah. What about product lines? What are your main product lines?
Uh, I think that we do a lot of plaques, a lot of glass and crystal and acrylic awards. We have a lot of resin figures, trophies. The technology that we have and that we use today with UV printing, we can print on almost any flat surface, some round surfaces. Um, I also am one of the few shops that will allow you to bring in things that you purchased somewhere else. So if you bought, say, you bought Yeti cups, tumblers from somewhere, and you wanted them engraved, you can bring them to me and I'll engrave them. We do a lot of hats, custom trucker hats for some businesses in town where we design the patches, engrave them, and put them on. That's actually an increasing part of our business. Um, but there's what used to be, say, name tags, for example. When I bought the shop, was probably 30% of the business. I think today I would say it's 10 to 15 because we've grown so many other things, and it makes it nice because you're, like I said, you're not doing the same thing every single. You're engraving on something every day, but the jobs that you're doing are not the same.
So, how often does someone come to you and ask for something you don't have?
Um, Not very often because I'm guilty. The famous words I hate to say are no or I can't. That upsets me to send a customer out the door with something that I can't do. It does happen. It's going to. My equipment does have limitations, but if they're willing to give me a shot and give me a little bit of time, if it's something that I can figure out, I will. I love the challenge, and I absolutely despise saying no.
Yeah. So, in this growth curve over the last 9 years, um, tell me a bit about your customer acquisition strategies.
In the early days, there wasn't any. They had a website that was a single static page. There was no email. Matter of fact, they were still handwriting invoices. Um, there were no email lists. There were no Facebook pages. There were no marketing of any sort. And the guy that I bought the shop from, we were great. We've been friends for 25 years, and I had watched him make a great living off of it. And he decided he wanted to do something different. I had always told him, "Hey, if you ever want to sell the shop, give me first opportunity." And it just so happened that it worked out at that particular time. But he was very antiquated, old equipment, old method of doing things. So um, we didn't have those kinds of things. And so after I bought the shop, we switched over to QuickBooks Online. We started taking emails. We started a Facebook page. We started trying to do a little bit of email marketing, and things have just progressed from there.
So, in those early days, when you start, let's say ground zero, when you started ground zero, did you have a grand design of architecting all of these, automating all of these things? Or did it just happen? Oh, we got to do invoicing. Let's do it first. Oh, we got to do email. Let's attach it second.
That's a great question, and I would love to tell you that I had a master plan from the very beginning, but I was so overwhelmed with trying to learn new technologies and learn new business that I didn't have the bandwidth to do anything else at that moment. So it was start slow, and so we started, getting everything over to QuickBooks, and then making sure that we had good emails for people because and I should back up a step and say when they did do things before, they had some emails because they had to send proofs to a lot of people to get approved. But as things went, we started to use those emails for more than just sending proofs. Um, I brought a friend of mine that designed websites, and he did the very first one for me that we never had before, and it kind of grew. We added some pages, but nothing that did any e-commerce whatsoever. So, we, like you said, we started with those stepping stones, and as I got more comfortable and confident in the business and saw the endless possibilities that we were letting go by every day, it got to the point where it was just eating at me not to be able to capture more of the market in town.
Yeah. So, in terms of scale, if you started at X after 9 years, how many times X did you grow?
um, I would say this year will be over three times hit the guy I bought the shops from absolute best year,
Yeah.
you know. And it's every year that I've owned the shop, we have grown significantly. Last year we had a record year. Up to this point this year, we are ahead of that year. Um, I it's hard sometimes with all the extraneous stuff going on in the world today, not just today, but the noise. If you listen to that noise, it will make you want to go run and hide and not spend a nickel here or do things that you know that you have to do because it's times are changing. We have to keep up with them.
Yeah. There's so much background noise.
Oh my gosh,
Uh,
it's incredible, and you know, in my mind, it really doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter which way people lean. There's noise of both ways, and you know, thank God for me that we are in Naples, Florida, which has always been quite insulated from a lot of the economic downturns. And we used to say that last in, first out of a recession or anything like that. Even during COVID, we managed to pivot and do other types of things. And when people were failing all around us, we continued to beat the prior year.
yeah. Is your business or your industry very competitive?
It is competitive in different ways. So there's when I took over, there were four of us in town that did sort of what we do. Then there were three. Now there's two. There's a third player, but um, I don't know that we really compete on a day to day basis. Um, where I'm finding the competition is online. The Amazon style of the world. If you want me to compete just on price, I'm not that guy. I refuse to be the one that's going to race to the bottom. If it's not profitable, if it's not, um, there's got to be a reason to do it. I'm to the point where we don't need to practice anymore.
Yeah. So then, are there any things specifically that you've done to distinguish yourself that would make you stand out, sound a little different, be a little different?
I believe that there are. Besides the fact that we have a beautiful showroom, I really encourage people to come in and touch and feel and see the workmanship. I've got a whole wall full of plaques that they can choose from. There's hats, there's awards. We are constantly updating our samples of everything that we have here. We're constantly looking and bringing in new products. As I said in the beginning, one of the things that I was driven to do and continue to do is embrace new technology. Our industry has a show in Vegas every year, the Awards and Association, and I try to go every other year to see the vendors, see what's new in equipment, see what's new in ideas, and it's always changing. They do tons of educational um, sessions that you can sign up for. So I'll usually go a couple days before the show opens and do classes 8 hours a day because we're never too old to learn and bring in that new technology and bring in that new idea, or maybe you learn something to make your job easier, or the best part is find something that makes it better and make it different. I'm the only one in town that has a UV printer, so adding color to a lot of products is makes it makes us different. Uh, Sandblasting, nobody else has a sandblaster. Some of the legacy machines that we have that we can engrave on things that nobody else can. Um, I think it sets us apart in the fact that I hate to say no.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you were to look back to the last couple of years, um, what's been a marketing campaign that surprised you on the upside or on the downside, even?
An actual marketing campaign. That's that's a tough one. We've had in my mind more failures than successes, but I think that we have learned from. I think we learn far more from our failures than we do from our successes, and I embrace failing. It's funny that being in the business that I am, I'm not a big believer in eighth place trophies because we don't teach kids how to lose. We don't teach them to embrace failure. Why did I fail? Why did it not work? And so we've reiterated our website 3 times since the original guy that did it, and it's kind of a funny story. The gentleman that did it originally, his daughter works for me now as my girl Friday, I call her, and I mean that with the all the compliments that come along with that, not a derogatory way. She does my social media stuff. She does our website. We switched over to a Shopify e-commerce site. That was a huge win. We were struggling with where we were before Google recognizing um, the site that we were on because we didn't technically own it. And we spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort to make that it look beautiful, and it worked for the promotional product side of our business, but not for our main business. And so that today is a big win for me. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It just became live a month ago.
Oh,
Um,
congrats.
yeah, it you know, I never realized how much time and effort went into uh, Shopify has the skin, I guess, and trying to make it make it work, and it makes you feel good when it finally goes live and you can see it's a work in progress, but we've got the bones there, and we're constantly adding uh, information and new products. It's you know a good, bad, or ugly business has been booming, and I'm so busy. I don't have time to do some of those things anymore. And thank God I've brought Allison on full time, and she's been able to uh, take some of those things off my plate. It's been a real blessing.
Yeah. So, what led you to Shopify?
Um, it had all of the bells and whistles that after having a conversation with Allison that we felt um, that it would do everything that we needed to do, and all the what it can't do. I guess there's a lot of plugins. There's a lot of plug and play that we can put in, and we found a guy that helped code it, and made it where we can take all of our variations and all the information and from shipping to product customization, and we just felt like it gave us the best bang for our buck, I guess,
Yeah.
than some of the other ones.
Yeah. So do you use a lot of plugins to amplify your store?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know. Um, I think that there's two for sure that I'm aware of. You're gonna ask me what they are, and unfortunately I can't tell you. Um, Again, I have pushed this. Not pushed. I've asked Allison to kind of take this over, and she has and produced something that is is really, I think pretty awesome. I've learned as I've gotten older what I don't know, and it's hard for people to be able to do everything on them, to take it on themselves these days. I would never, without taking coding classes and be able to do everything else. I'm already working 12 to 15 hours a day. I don't have time to do everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to ask this question. I ask everybody, how has AI moved into your shop?
Well, um, my staff says that I have a relationship with chat. um, we have tried to integrate some basic AI. I think that people of our generation in particular have very a deep rooted distrust of AI. Maybe it's from, old Arnold and Terminator sort of ideas, and not knowing how the guardrails are set up to allow AI to get to really dig into our business. So I use chat for a lot of times to clean up logos, or if I have ideas to sort of um, to dig in and help me with some of the, to make sense of it. I uploaded our homeowner. Here's a great example. Our homeowners insurance is up. So I took Paul's. My wife got estimates from three different companies because the one we had doubled, and so I uploaded to chat all three and said, "Hey, give me pros and cons. Tell me what the details. What am I looking at?" And I was really surprised at how quickly it did it, and the things that it was able to pull from those things. And then I asked for, well, tell me about claims and tell me about things in regards to these companies, and it was able in less than 5 minutes to pull that stuff together. So I think AI has the ability to help us understand things. I'm still a little cautious about allowing AI to dig into too much into the guts of the business, because I'm just not there yet. How
Yeah.
we're of the same generation probably. How do you feel about AI, where it is in your business?
That's a good question. I kind of see it as it's sort of like any tool. Where do you want to wield it or where do you want to apply it? So if I look at one of the things we do a lot of is copywriting. So do I want, and I pay a certain amount for copywriters, and you can pay a range for copywriters. So do I want to use it to, improve the productivity of my copywriters by 50%? That would be a small incremental improvement in the business if it could in fact write better copy than copy. I know what good copy looks like.
Mm,
So it would be an incremental improvement. But if I was to take it and use it for my prospecting to help me find and acquire new customers, it extends a part of the business beyond the resources that we have now. So it helps us to do prospecting in the business. And, winning 5 new clients is way more valuable to me than saving 10% on my copywriting budget. So I think where one uses the tool is worth an exercise. And like you, I've sat and tested different brainstorming applications. And the thing I really like is its aptitude. I use Claude mostly, but its aptitude to think outside the box when I ask it to, and think inside the box when I ask it to. I mean, it is it can be as scatterbrained as I am. So
It can go off the rails pretty easy sometimes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
that's
and I had one model that I was telling. I said, stop trying to butter me up. Stop giving me compliments at every second turn. You got to treat me like you're the board of directors and I'm a petulant CEO and I'm, chasing stuff all over the place. You have to keep me focused and direct. And it took that to heart and became quite ruthless, actually.
That's funny because I did the same thing with chat. I've actually created a couple GPTs to do some art stuff that so I don't have to send it overseas. I'm not a graphic artist. I know what looks good, but
Yeah.
sometimes I have ideas and it's just getting it through. And like you said, it would I would we'd come up with a design and I'd say, okay, so what do you think about it? And it would kind of blow smoke up my dress, And I say, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are you telling me what you think I want to hear? Or do you feel that this particular design is really strong? And, after going back and forth, it said, I'm learning your habits and trying to gain knowledge of what you're trying to accomplish. So, if it falls in those guidelines, I'm going to tell you if it's good or not. And sometimes it just goes off the rail. And I'm embarrassed to say I have cussed that chat on more than one occasion.
Yeah. So if we were to be talking to some younger entrepreneurs, what advice would you give them? What's one piece of advice that you would give them to help them on their growth path?
I have to narrow down to just one.
I usually offer people three, but that can take us all day. So
yeah, the single biggest piece would be don't quit, and the caveat to that would be don't let fear take control and drive the bus. You have to. I call it getting a sore crotch. You can't straddle that fence. You got to be in or you got to be out.
Yeah.
It's.
I find that those attitudinal pieces of advice are far more valuable than tactical stuff. So, all right. So that was an easy one. How about another one?
All right. Come to terms with what you know and what you're good at, and try to understand the things that you don't know, and either learn that or get somebody who's smarter than you to handle those tasks and those things that you cannot do.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like, we want to think that we know everything. And when we were, 18, we certainly thought we did. And boy, the older we get, I think we realize we really don't know as much as we think we do.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. And also a good place for us to close on. So I really appreciate your time today. I love your insight and your attitude, and thank you very kindly for your help.
All right. Well, thank you, Mitch. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product.
I hope you enjoyed that and found some information in there that is actionable and helps you to grow your business. As you may or may not know, it's in marketing. We've been doing email marketing for companies for 18 years now. And We know a thing or two because we've learned a thing or two, but I want to make you an offer. The first thing we do when we take on a new e-commerce client is to build out their welcome series. It's not flashy, but it is consistently one of the largest revenue generators of all the flows that we install, and most brands don't have a good one. So if you feel like you might not have a good one, I want to give you a head start. Send me your site. Just send me an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com, and I'm about a custom welcome series flow for your brand. The flow, the angles, all the copy that you use, basically enough material to basically make it live. Free money, if you will. Just done for you, no strings attached. I'll send everything back via email. Send an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com. Free welcome flow.